There's a lot of effort and energy and time that it takes to secure an influencer collab. And 9 times out of 10, the influencer will just ghost you and steal your product. It was very, very hard to scale up at the velocity that I wanted to. And so we started to put good creators on retainer, and we would have them post for us on a reoccurring basis. They would post on their own page, and then we would run secondary pages on TikTok. So if you search up Tabs Space Chocolate on TikTok, you'll see 25 different pages, each managed by an independent creator. We have, like, on autopilot, 50 posts going live every single day onto TikTok, and then 50 posts going live on all these reposting platforms, basically becoming kind of like a media conglomerate almost, and that's how I think we're going to win.
Hello and welcome to the D2C podcast. I'm Eric Dick. Today we're getting intimate with Gen Z entrepreneurial icons Jake Lewin and Oliver Brocato from Tabs Chocolate, the makers of one of the most viral D2C products I've ever seen. They've grown very quickly to over 7 figures in their first year without spending a dime on paid ads. How'd they do this? By combining two of the world's favorite things, sex and chocolate. Jake and Oliver have created a product that was engineered from day one to grow through virality. In this interesting podcast, you're going to hear about how to build a product that's engineered for virality, how Tab's cheeky packaging as well as product design with a few well-placed emojis actually drive virality. You're also going to hear about the influencer strategy that essentially turns creators into franchises in a way that locks them in as distribution channels. This one really blew my mind. I am happy to report the kids are all right in the D2C world. I'm off to eat some chocolate. On with the show. Thousands of people have jump-started their TikTok content strategy using Kohli's TikTok Creative Brief template. That's because it has all the steps for successful creator collaborations and best practices to create fun and engaging TikToks. If you haven't grabbed your copy yet, don't worry. Kohli just dropped a brand new version of their popular template filled with even more tips and insights to level up your TikTok game. Head to kohli.com/TikTok to download your free copy and start creating TikToks for your brand that people actually want to watch. Oliver, Jake, welcome to the D2C podcast. I hear you sell sex chocolate. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Start with the origin story. Where did the idea come from?
So this started as a really interesting concept that we saw, but we just saw a pretty poor execution. So what I mean by that is there was this company called Sextz, SEXTZ, who had a similar concept of like a sex chocolate in a sense. And we came across this video that had like 11 million views on TikTok and a few million likes. And I sent it to Oliver. I'm like, wow, this is a great idea, but the packaging and the execution on their part was just really subpar. So we took that and we took our experience, some of which was combined experience, just running e-commerce stores and doing drop shipping and stuff like that. And we applied it to this new brand called Tabs, and here we are.
I'm just like, the product itself is just so slick, the design on it. Like, did you launch it? Like, is this sort of how you launched it as it is right now? Or did you go through prototypes that were less slick?
We went through a lot of prototypes. Oliver could tell you about it, but pretty much every word on that box and every design and color was very much intentional.
What? Give me a little bit, Oliver. Tell me a little bit of the best moves you made.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, everything that we did, from the shade of gold to the back of the box, to when you remove the chocolate, we have these kinds of little like fun emojis.
I just saw that. That's delightful.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, everything was like super deliberate, and there was a lot of time and effort and fighting and arguments, about every little thing, because we wanted to launch this and do this the right way from the get-go. Just to give you a little bit more background, before Tabs, Jake launched a leggings brand about a year earlier. And he was drop shipping them, and it just exploded on social media, especially TikTok. And he was one of the first people to really kind of blow that up in the market. And he brought me on board to help accelerate the growth, particularly through influencer collaborations on TikTok. And so we had a lot of experience in e-commerce. We had a lot of experience in like streamlining the influencer collab process and working with a lot of micro influencers. But unfortunately, with the leggings, the market quickly got saturated as a lot of copycats came into play. So after that whole entire experience, we went back to the drawing board and we had two pieces of criteria that we really wanted to kind of meet. One being a product that can go viral and sell itself, and two, a product that has high barriers to entry and a level of proprietary nature around it. And so we really focused on number two. We wanted to ensure that before we launched, we had everything perfect from the branding, the design, the unboxing experience, the website. We agonized over every single micro detail so that when we would launch, we can go big. And I'm happy to report that like it's been somewhat of an early success. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we've seen some like initial signs of product market fit, and hopefully we can continue to keep the ball rolling.
That sounds like you're understating it slightly. Tell me what you can about, as much as you can, about your growth journey. Like how meteoric has it been?
Yeah. So after about like a year of actually developing the product, contract manufacturer based out of Naples, Florida, boxes made in China, virgin polycarbonate plastic molds, plastic wrappers. Multiple partners for the supplements. After establishing the whole entire back end side of things, which took a long while, as well as formulation. We went through so many rounds of iterations to pack the chocolates full of natural supplements while still preserving the taste and flavor. It took about 11 months. Well, that's a whole other story in and of itself. Our manufacturer would send us some samples, and I would go around to my fraternity house, knocking on doors, giving it to my buddies, and having them taste it, having them use it. And it was a very kind of homemade, bootstrapped start for sure.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
But in terms of I guess of the growth, we ended up launching in like about December 20th, 2021, and we had our first couple influencer posts go live, and we didn't see like a crazy amount of traction. We thought we were going to, again, because we spent so much effort and time ensuring that everything was perfect. And about a couple weeks later, Jake develops like this whole entire repost strategy. Do you want to kind of touch upon that, Jake?
Sure. Yeah. So the nature of the product in and of itself is kind of appealing to a lot of these short form video platforms. In that when we designed this, we figured what would be most appealing to go viral and like what would catch people's attentions just right off the bat, and just a chocolate being able to be sexually enhancing, and all the other things that we have on our product description just seemed to fit that bill. So our strategy in the beginning, which ended up kind of letting us avoid a lot of the expensive like PPC marketing and even a lot of influencer marketing, was just reposting old videos that we already had, whether we made it ourselves or like just our very few influencers. So like we reposted like TikTok videos on Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, Spotlight, Shorts, and those kind of naturally took off without actually having a following behind any of them, and they were kind of just brand new accounts.
That's awesome. Did you remove the TikTok logo or did you keep it on?
We removed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
That's interesting.
They might
I've heard it work both ways.
Yeah, I think they might. And now we actually do that, where we have like just reposts on TikTok. But yeah, I think they like restrict your content if you have the TikTok logo.
So has most of your growth come from your page, the Tabs Chocolate page, or from influencers that you've arranged with to promote to talk about the product?
Yeah, so initially it was influencers and micro influencers, and we would lock them into 2-post deals, and they would put it out to their audience. We saw some good traction, and then what we would do is we would download it, kind of like Jake was talking about, on an HD watermarkless file, and then we would growth hack and repost it on all of these different platforms that Jake was talking about. But there was a lot of strategy there. We had virtual assistants that would put out hundreds of posts every single day, kind of spamming these platforms with the hopes that, one or two would get picked up on the algorithm and go viral. And then, we would analyze like what kind of content is working, what kind of content isn't working, and double down on what's successful. And so, by nature, we were able to rack up, tens of millions of views on these, secondary repostings and drive significant amounts of revenue. Eventually, unfortunately, we wanted to start to consolidate and bring a lot of the creative work in house, because there's a lot of effort and energy and time that it takes to secure an influencer collab. And 9 times out of 10, the influencer will just ghost you and steal your product, despite even wanting to pay them when they put out the post. And so, I got very frustrated with this, because despite putting like so much time and effort into this and having, a lot of my employees and interns and VAs kind of working the back ends of the systems, it was very, very hard to scale up at the velocity that I wanted to. And so what we started to do was we started to put good creators and influencers on retainer. And we would have them post for us on a reoccurring basis. They would post on their own page, and then we would run subsidiary and secondary pages on TikTok. So if you search up Tabs Space Chocolate on TikTok, you'll see 25 different pages of ours rather. And they're each managed and run by an independent creator. And, we have TikTokers, we have drop shippers, we have content creators, we have agencies, OnlyFans girls, college kids. Doesn't matter who it is. We want to work with them and basically become a content machine where we have like on autopilot, 50 posts going live every single day onto TikTok, and then 50 posts going live on all these reposting platforms, basically becoming kind of like a media conglomerate almost. And that's how I think we're going to win.
That's a really great idea, and it's something that you can't do on Facebook right now. You can't, or maybe you can, but like I know they want the company to be the one, having the brand presence. But on TikTok, you can have as many as you like. It's like they're franchisees in a way.
Exactly.
Right? That's really
exactly.
interesting.
Exactly right. And what's cool about it too is that we can put a special link in their bio, so then we can track and see kind of the impact they're having on sales. And they can even have opportunity to become like a partner in the sense, where we will do a rev share deal with them. Like in essence, yeah, they're 100% franchisees. And in fact, we work with a lot of, Shopify e-commerce guys that are really talented creators that traditionally like run up TikTok pages for their own brands. And now they're working with us in that sense, to run our brand and take a nice, piece of the pie.
Like a side hustle, content side husle. They just love chocolate. They love sex. Why not combine them?
Yeah.
It's unreal. I think that's a really, really great idea. And like it's something that not a lot of people do, especially this. I think a lot of people are more precious about the content to the point, you got to get all these videos out right. You don't want to, I've talked to so many people that aren't even like cross-publishing on platforms. So I think even, and one of my questions I was going to have here was like, how do you engineer virality in an ongoing way? And to hear you describe the systems you've kind of built for virality, it reminds me of like what we try to build on the paid ad side, which is where I come from. You're looking for things that are repeatable. You're looking for ways to, to scale and to not spam the system, but to get your bid for ads in there as much as possible.
100%.
And now you're pumping as much creative as you can in order to make paid social work. And you're kind of applying the same principles on TikTok. And then adding in this franchisee ID, which is really next level.
Yeah, absolutely. I think at the end of the day, like what a lot of people miss is that element of scale. I can't tell you what video is going to go viral. I can't do that, and nobody can. There's an element of luck and randomness, and so that's impossible. But what I can tell you is that if I have 30 to 50 videos going live every single day, and the quality, is at least at a certain baseline, I know for sure that one will pop off, and that's what we're betting on. So it's not about picking the needle in the haystack. It's about, buying the whole haystack. I think as Ray Dalio likes to say, a little bit different.
And it's that distribution channel. It's that distribution channel too, where by giving them the franchisee, rather than like if you just say, hey, make some posts for me, they'll make some posts for you, and maybe it'll do well, maybe it won't. But when you're actually having them build a Tabs chocolate, content franchise, it's like now that's yours to grow, and it locks in that distribution channel, which, as you say, is like one of the hardest parts of influencer marketing.
Absolutely.
Super cool. So So what platforms are you on? Like, obviously TikTok is probably like, first of all, give me the shocking number of like how many impressions you feel like you've had since you started.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like
Um,
hundreds of millions.
I don't know about hundreds of millions just yet. I know that like it's definitely over like 60 million, for sure. Um, but it's impossible to like really know or measure. I don't think we've ever really counted them exactly. But I can tell you it's definitely above 60 million views.
What's your most undervalued channel, would you say?
In the beginning, like Facebook Reels kind of killed for us. I think that was like our first viral one. Probably not long
Yeah,
term.
that was wild. Like some random Facebook reel just hit like 9 million views and drove crazy amount of sales just like one day. And I don't even know what Facebook Reels was because we were posting natively through Facebook. Like nobody was doing that. I don't think like 99% of companies or brands or marketers are still doing that. But we talked about it a little bit on Twitter, and now I've seen a couple other people jump on the trend. But I mean, the reality is that like it's just about like kind of testing all the platforms and being consistent with, again, the hopes that one out of 100 just randomly hits, and that's kind of what pays for everything else. Now, I would say the most fruitful short form platform, other than TikTok, is YouTube Shorts for us. We have a bunch of accounts there that are pulling really solid numbers, and so we're really doubling down in that area. We have about, I think, like 15 to 20 accounts, some of which are pulling 10 to 20,000 views per video per day. So it's really just about scaling up.
Very cool. Have you been able to see the incremental benefit of these platforms in your sales? I guess one of the things you miss a little bit, although you were talking about being able to use custom UTMs on each of these creators if you wanted, how's the tracking side of the business going in this sort of viral environment?
Yeah, it's very obvious when something goes viral because you're sitting on the Shopify dashboard, or, you get and you see, and it's like, oh wow, huge spike in visitors, huge spike in sales, and then it's like text message to everybody, yo, what's going on? Where's the video? Can we find it, and can we capitalize on it? I think that's one of like the biggest parts that a lot of people miss. When you have the thunder, especially on TikTok with one of your content creators or your influencers, it is so important to double down. And what we've seen time and time again, that the secondary post responding to a comment on the original viral video will actually do better than the viral video itself. Despite getting like 1/10, 1/20th of the number of views, having a video where you're responding to one of the comments on the viral video, like with a call to action, will just like take that to the next level. And when that happens, we just start pumping content on that account, or we have that influencer start pumping content to really capture all the potential that we possibly can.
And to be clear, you don't run paid ads. This all growth has all come from this sort of engineered virality.
Yeah,
Correct. Yeah.
no, we don't really run any paid ads. I mean, unless you count obviously the influencers and the content creators that we do pay for sure. Like, but we don't do any like pay per click ads. We're not on Facebook or Google really, or Snapchat or any of these kinds of main platforms. However, with that being said, as we start to lock down um, our logistics and production side of things, and as we start to scale, we're definitely going to start to venture into these areas for sure. With the first move obviously being retargeting ads and trying to recapture abandoned carts and checkouts and whatnot.
You guys worked with a bunch of celebrities based on the page. What's been your favorite celebrity you've been able to pull in?
I think what you're referring to is like this event that we went to, which was like, Oliver, you want to talk about that? Oliver set this up.
Yeah, sure. It was an interesting event. Basically, what they call it is a gifting suite lounge. The guy has an awesome job. He basically puts on this 3 day extravaganza, and he's not affiliated, but he attaches it to some big event. So think the Super Bowl, the Met Gala, the Oscars. That's what we were there for. And during that event, he throws this kind of side party, and he has brands come in and help sponsor it. And so we paid, I believe it was like $7,500 to be there. And basically, we got to have the pleasure of gifting out our product, to all the A-listers and celebrities that come swing by. Now you ask, what do they get out of this? They give, over $100,000 of free product out at these events to the celebrities to entice them, and they have some big, partnerships and sponsors that will give these celebrities like a huge all access paid vacation and flights and everything. So they got their side of the stuff covered, and in return, when the celebrity comes and takes one of our products, we get to take a picture with them and use that at our discretion. So we did get to meet and give seed product to a number of celebrities. Um, but what I will say is that there weren't that many like famous ones. There's more kind of like the B and C listers, if I'm gonna be honest, just because like like if it's an A lister, they're not really coming for free product. Like you gotta pay, right? And one of them actually, Liam Payne from One Direction, stopped by, and I was so excited. But he wouldn't even take a picture because like his manager wouldn't let him. But it is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, you got Johnny Drama, I guess. It's definitely when he plays a C level on TV, he's probably C level. Wrong size, wrong color, didn't look right in the living room? There are hundreds of reasons your customers return products, but returns don't have to be goodbyes. They can be an opportunity to complete the shopping experience. Built exclusively for Shopify, Loop lets you create a delightful return experience to attract and retain more customers. By making it easy for your customers to find products they love, they'll come back again and again. See why thousands of Shopify brands like Allbirds, Chubbies, and Brooklinen trust Loop as their return partner at loopreturns.com/DTC. I want to go back to the very we kind of glossed over it, but it's like you guys have built a business, where you're like I don't want to fuck around with a lot of the things that most of the people that I talk to have done. Like you wanted to engineer a product that would be inherently viral. Jake, where did that idea sort of come from? Why didn't you, I guess you had already done that traditional route with the leggings, I guess, right? And was that basically why you really wanted to engineer something that would just sell without ads ongoing?
Yeah, we had done that for like years earlier with other products too. But with pay per click, there's like a lot of like issues with it just being banned and stuff, and it's pretty linear. Like your sales are like you spend a certain amount of money per purchase, and there's not really a lot of fluctuation or opportunity to I guess see exponential growth for what you put in. So like with some of our influencer ads, we'll spend a very small amount of money, and it has the potential to pull in a lot of views and therefore a lot of sales. And with pay per click like Facebook and all these other platforms, that's not really the case. And so when we thought of like what could go viral and like making something that could go viral, I think that was one of our main intentions.
Well, I think you've done it. Do you know what your single most viral video is?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, well, actually, one of our single most viral video was from a content creator that we were working with, and he pulled in like over 11 million views on the TikTok. With that being said, we did work with a micro influencer, in our first month of business, and she got 6.6 million views on her video, and it really really popped off. But there is like one thing that I want to say too, that like while the influencer and the creator is super important, and don't get me wrong, they're like for sure 50% of the equation. It's important to recognize that the product is inherently viral too. And what we've noticed actually is that when through our collaborations, our influencers that we work with usually get more views on our paid brand deal than they do on their regular average organic content. So like that's super crazy to think about too. So like when we're approaching like, influencers or whatnot, it's like, hey, get paid to use a product that's going to bring you more views, more followers, and more exposure than your average content anyway. So it's like a win-win for both of us, And I think that's something that's really special and unique about our brand.
When it's 80% of people's two favorite things, It's going to, it's sort of engineered from that. And as I was saying, like, yeah, just I urge everyone to go check out the packaging, the unboxing experience in the videos, because I think that's an essential component of building for virality is, as you say, like going through all those iterations, getting everything just right, making sure it's going to be this delightful experience that puts people in that frame of mind, because it's such a mental thing, right? I'm sure there's a rush that you can have from these chocolates, and for some people it'll be great, and for others maybe not. But it's putting people in that frame of mind, you know what I mean, to experience that is going to be so helpful.
Yeah, and just to kind of touch upon that, Jake came up with this idea of like this break, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but it's genius. And the reason why is because it plays so well on camera. If you look at traditional, sexually enhancing products, they're all targeting one demographic, right? They're targeting men and they're targeting women. And if you look at their marketing and advertising, the way that they go about it is like, yo, it's super discreet. Your partner's not even going to know. You don't have to have any shame or guilt. We came in and we completely like switched that whole entire idea on its head. And what we've done now is like, it's a product for you and your partner, whether it's a guy and a girl, a guy and a guy, a girl and a girl, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what gender you are. And the way that it works is each square of chocolate has a clean break on a diagonal. And so each partner breaks it in half and then takes a half. And so like, that's like super pivotal and something that differentiates us from everybody on the market, differentiates us from sex, and crushes on camera because it explains the concept of what it is in a 3-second, visual way without having to provide, like paragraphs and essays of context.
I love it. It's a sex Kit Kat.
Write that one down. Sex Kit Kat.
But no, I think that's a really great visual metaphor. So, you're driving all this traffic to the site. I think you're on V2 of your website, and I think you mentioned that you're planning a new website soon. Can you talk about like what were the big wins on the current, what were the big things that worked best on this current website, and then what are some of the things you're planning to do on the next website to actually convert this huge amount of traffic that you're getting?
So the first thing is we have a desktop site now. So before
okay, there you go. That's
yeah,
a good start.
Yeah. So we started with mobile only, and that was our version of an MVP. It's like before we knew the product was going to work. We were just kind of optimizing for our channels we knew we were going to sell on. So like TikTok is mobile, Snapchat's mobile, and so on. And now like we kind of have that validation. So yeah, we're developing a desktop site. That was actually like our main hot topic in our morning meeting today, about how the new site's going to look and how that's gonna turn out.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of like conversion, the site's been amazing. And just to backtrack a little bit, the big reason why we focused on the mobile was because all of our traffic is coming from mobile. It's people scrolling on TikTok. It's people scrolling through YouTube Shorts. So when we were initially starting this, we completely bootstrapped this whole entire operation. Instead of like defraying our attention to building out a desktop and a mobile and, splitting the cash between the two, we're like, let's go all in and crafting the best mobile experience. And it's boded pretty well for us. Like over 98% of our traffic is coming in from mobile. So the desktop has kind of been on the back burner, but we did just get that live. In terms of like kind of conversion between V1 and V2, V1 has been amazing. And we were sitting at a very strong conversion rate. We moved to pre-orders, and we wanted to be overly transparent and overly communicative. So we said, on the site all over, it's going to take 4 to 12 weeks for your order to come as you do a pre-order. And not surprisingly, the conversion rate tanked. It got dropped by it was a third of what it was originally. And when we relaunched the site and when we caught up with pre-orders just recently, I was like, all right, here we go. We're about to 3x sales. We're about to 3x the conversion rate overnight. And unfortunately, while we removed the 4 to 12 week pre-order, not much has changed. And so that was super disappointing. And so now we're trying to kind of reverse engineer what's going on there and figure out how we get that back up. But in the meantime, after talking to a lot of conversion rate optimization strategists and specialists, shout out Carl, he was one that helped me quite a bit. We've made some significant updates, which we now have to test. So it's it's about A/B testing. It's about seeing what the response is, and we're at the drawing board, constantly monitoring and figuring out like what's a good improvement, what's a bad improvement, and really kind of taking note to figure out how we can really optimize things the way we want to.
What's the average order value like? I bet like is it people buy one box? Do people buy several? Because it's sort of like it just has this implication. It's like the more you love chocolate, the more chocolate you're going to eat. It's like maybe the more sex you have. It's just like, is that how people stack their carts?
We try to encourage people to buy multiple. So like in the beginning, we did free shipping with 2 boxes, and that helped drive up our average order value. I think it's mid 40s, and we sell the product for $30.
Hmm.
Nice.
And now we just made an update on the new site, which we're testing. But we got rid of the quantity selector because what we noticed was that people were really only buying one box or 2 boxes. And so instead of having a quantity selector, we now have a 1 box option and a 2 box option, and it's defaulted on the 2 box option, to try to decrease friction. And there's free shipping there and a discount there. So we're trying to do everything we can to drive up AOV. But ultimately, this is something that we're testing. Yeah.
Very cool. I don't know if you've listened to it. I did a podcast recently. It just came out with this guy from the Marshmallow Co. His name's Joel Twyman. And he basically, I think he's up to over 300 million impressions now on TikTok through showing, like going in his factory and actually showing it, kind of doing like visual ASMR about his product being made and showing, marshmallows stretching and being mixed and being poured and all this stuff.
Yeah,
And it really
people
makes
love
me
that.
think, anytime I have a food and bev person on, I'm like, you got to get someone in your factory who has a creator franchise where you're showing, the product being made in potentially an essential way or whatever. I think there's a huge opportunity for you guys to do that.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's a great idea and something that we for sure have to test. Unfortunately, I cannot imagine our co-man allowing us to get in there, right, Jake? Imagine Mike. Oh man.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna
And
work.
Mike's not going to do it. He's not going to be your influencer. It sounds like
No, no,
he's
Mike's
not
not
going
going
to
to be
be
our
doing it.
influencer. Yeah, no, we've
No.
been having a little bit of troubles and difficulties with our co-man. But I mean, he's been pretty great. He's been pretty great. Um,
So what are your guys' goals for the future with this? Like, first, how big can Tab's chocolate brand Sex Chocolate be? And what are your plans for the future? Jake, why don't we go with you?
So we're looking at, I think right now we're looking at a lot of other channels. So we're trying to start a wholesale system. So we've gotten a few inbound requests. Uh, of course, our main channel is TikTok. So I guess in a lot of ways we're just really focusing on our main product, and then I want to eventually add variants. So like uh, flavors, and then also how many chocolates are in a box. So we have the three product right now, or the three chocolates in a box right now. But I think we could go 9 and 1. So like a 1 unit box could be good for like wholesale or retail. And then of course different flavors. So I think we have a lot of work cut out for us just in doing that before we even look at other product lines. But I think just in general, we can play with like other food products in general.
Well,
Um,
here's what you got to. You could also just have a chocolate that breaks into 3 or 4. You know what I mean? Just for like
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
the fringe market. You never know, right?
Yeah, no, I like that. And I think that there are also like a couple like main, categories that we can break into. One, I think really we can become the sex shop for Generation Z. We've done an amazing job at destigmatizing an incredibly taboo industry, making something that people think is for like erectile dysfunction for old people into something that targets a younger generation and making something that's fun and romantic. So that's a kind of one industry and category that I think is ripe for the taking. Number two, kind of playing off what Jake said, is really tackling the functional food lines and coming up pairing different moods and flavors and supplements and ingredients with common foods and repackaging that to make it kind of a more user friendly, consumer friendly experience. And then lastly, like I think another category that has potential when the time is right, and as the legal system catches up. But like THC and CBD and psilocybin, like that is a huge market that's becoming super popular and more mainstream. So like maybe when the time is right, like we have all the infrastructure to kind of corner that market as like an edible brand. Right now it's like a sex edible, but like who knows where we might be in 5 10 years. It's impossible to say. So with that being said, we're not too focused on the long-term vision right now. What we do know is that we have an extremely hot product that's crushing, and what we want to do is double down on that, make sure that we can handle all of the demand, make sure that we get our production schedules in line, and all the back end logistics sides are done. And then once that happens, we can start to think bigger and to start expanding that. But we got our hands full right now. I can tell you that much.
I bet. If there was one influencer out there, or celebrity, if there's like, who would be like the prime person to get on the brand? I hear both your interpretations.
Yeah, Steve will do it, and I think Steve will do it would go absolutely crazy. And
who? Sorry? Oh God.
Steve will do it. He's affiliated with the Nelk Boys.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I would love to have him on board, maybe someday. But what I will say is that he actually lives in downtown Miami in Brickell, which is like literally like a 5-minute walk from my apartment. And I've seen his cameraman before. I've seen him like out to dinner with his family like once before. So I think like I might camp out at his apartment for like 24 hours or something and try to get a box to him. I don't know. But yeah, no, he would be pretty cool to get on board. Jake, who do you think?
I'm not going to put it past you. I think Steve will do it eventually. How about you, Jake?
I think the Pope would be cool. Yeah, I don't know.
Pope? That could be, honestly, this Pope, if there ever was a Pope that was going to do it, it might be this Pope. He's very progressive.
Yeah,
so
if anyone has his contact info, I mean, we'll take it.
I love it. I'm emailing the Pope directly after this. And then Oliver, like, do you have any other, like, because I this is a pretty unique approach you've taken to growth, this idea of growth hacking, even just sponsoring and becoming a gift in the B celebrities bags or whatever. These are all sort of things that go into your sort of growth hacking mindset. Do you have anything else like queued up that you can talk about, or any other like final words on growth hacking for the D2C listeners?
Yeah, I think I gave pretty much like most of the sauce at. There are some products that we have up our sleeve that we're excited to release soon, but can't really talk too much about it. When the time is right, I'll definitely put a tweet out, pretty active there. But no, nothing really else comes to mind.
Cool. All right, well, let's wrap it up there. If you're looking to enhance your chocolate or sex life, you can go to tabschocolate.com, correct? And if people want to know more about you, obviously you're pretty active on Twitter there, Oliver. So you can, give your Twitter handle for the people.
Oliver __B1. I need to get a new username because it's super long and convoluted. And Jake, plug yours too.
Mine's JKELWN.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't checked out Jake's yet, but I know Oliver's got a lot of hot takes on there. So he's a good follow. You'll enjoy it.
I got roasted by Sean Purry and Sam Parr in their podcast for some of my.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. They roasted me a little bit. It is what it is.
That's funny. Nice. Thanks for coming on today, guys. This was super interesting.
Awesome. Thanks
so much for having us, bro.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you're not a subscriber to our newsletter, you can do that right now at directtoconsumer.co. I'm Eric Dick, and this has been the D2C Podcast. We'll see you next time.